Welcome, Mike, to Bharat Media. We are very privileged and we are proud that you are here. We love you, we respect you, and we support warriors for ranchers. Welcome to Bharat Media, Mike.
Awesome, awesome. Very nice to be here. Thank you guys, and thank you for your support. It was awesome to meet you guys in Ohio while I was supporting my buddy Neil Patel, who's running for U.S. Senate of Ohio. And here we are. Let's expose the truth on Connect for a Cause.
Yes, definitely. So, before we reach to the main cause, the open border story, the life which ranchers have to go through, and what they are suffering right now. First, I would like to address our audience about something who Mike is. So, maybe you can tell our audience who Mike is, how you thought, or is there any army connection of yours that you went into the Air Force? Your dad is in army or something, or how did you thought that you want to serve the country and do these noble things?
So as a young man, I wanted to do something purposeful. And I looked at all the different branches of the military and the States Air Force. I was like, they got big planes. They go out over their seas. They do surveillance. They support everybody. And I decided to join the United States Air Force. And as doing so, I became a SEER instructor. I was a combat weapons specialist and I was aircrew life support. So I inspected many different types of aircraft. I've worked on top secret aircraft and I enjoyed doing my job. While I was in the military, I come down with keratoconus and I lost the use of my left eye. I had a corneal transplant and I was retired very early in my youth. But I still fought for this country and I took an oath to serve it. And I was with the 62nd Operation Support Squadron at McCord Air Force Base, Washington. I deployed overseas. I was in Operation Southern Watch, Operation Noble Eagle, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and several others, fighting the terrorism in this world. I got a chance to serve with some of the most amazing military leaders of our nation and fight for the sovereignty of the United States of America. And then I find myself here in Texas as a person running a hunting property doing the same exact thing. So 11 years ago, went to a Christian retreat and I met a friend and he owned a piece of land here in Texas and we decided to start a hunting property together. And 2 years ago, I called him up and said, "Hey, what do you think about starting this?" And so he was like, "Yeah, sounds like a good idea." He let me think about it. He calls me the next day and he goes, "Yes, it's a go. Let's do this." So we started a hunting property together. It was a very successful place. We brought a lot of people together. Kids were able to learn a life lesson, and we were able to bring people to Jesus. We were able to bring families together. But then the Biden administration took over. We went from when the Trump administration was in office, he worked harder to support, the border. And he said he was going to build a wall and it was going to be huge and it was going to be the best wall ever, as Trump would say it. And it was. He was working to build it. Could people still navigate and climb the wall? They found ways to get around it, over it, but it slowed people down. It slowed drug trafficking. It slowed child sex trafficking. Then you have the Biden administration. They're lawless individuals. They allow open borders. They don't even want to address the pain, the death, the murder, the rape. They don't want to address it. Kamala traveled all around the world before she decided to come to El Paso, Texas, which El Paso, Texas isn't even the place where the real trouble is. She did a photo op. She took pictures in the aircraft hangar. She showed, yes, I went to Texas. But did she do anything? Did she create policy? Did she create legislation? Did she protect the American people? No, She didn't. And neither did Biden. And but Trump did. He decided to build the wall and they decided to stop it. Now what's happening? Now that the cartel knows that the wall is being stopped, they will stop at nothing entering this place with their drugs, with the children that are being raped and murdered and trafficked and exploited, and all the many people that see how easy it is to cross the border. Now, those people, it's not easy for some of them. The cartel owns them. The cartel has control of this situation. Those people are paying the cartel $3,000 to $11,000 a person to cross. And if they don't have the money, they execute them. And the cartel's at war right now, and they've been fighting for territory. On the hunting ranch where I was at, I was shot at with a fully automatic weapon. I was taking cottonseed and hay to my animals. The next time they got on the property was a night we had a gentleman shot a scimitar horned oryx. We took the animal to taxidermy, took it to the meat market. When we came back, we had a gentleman from the Honduras trying to break into the cabins, and he was unarmed. I was able to de-escalate him. I was very concerned for my safety. I was fearful for my life, but I was able to de-escalate him. And I said, comita. And he's like, she. He wanted to eat. I said, agua. He's like, si. He wanted to drink. But I didn't know the language. I just know very little, poquito. So there was a language barrier, but it was enough that he knew I was wanting to feed him. And he sat and he ate, and he held up his cell phone, and he was like, electrical. He wanted to charge his phone. And I'm like, sure, we'll charge your phone. Well, when you tapped the screen on his phone, a map came up, and it was a GPS coordinates to his coyote. And that's the person paid by the cartel to smuggle them. And there were 6 more people detained after we got him detained. So I called Border Patrol while he was eating his food, and they were already on the way, and they detained that individual. See, these individuals, they capture children and they harvest their organs and sell them. It's very sick. That's what's happening. That particular person wasn't doing that, but it is something that's taking place. He was dressed way different than most people. He had very nice clothes on. He was wearing gold bracelets, gold chains, expensive phone, expensive watch. All of his stuff around him said he was a high dollar guy. Border Patrol told me these things after they shut the door. The next attempt was I was at my gate. There's no crossing arms on the railroad where the gate is. It's just a terminal that is north and southbound railroad. 2 individuals came from out of the brush. One's on my passenger side door. One is on my driver's side door. They were trying to get into the truck. I was able to get out of there before they were able to get into the truck. They got away. I got a hold of Border Patrol, reported the incident, but yet they get over the fence. They go through the fridge. They fill up their water jugs, and they leave. U.S. Customs said, Mike, we want you to come speak at this town hall. And at that very moment, as I'm looking around, I see all these people who are living in their home in fear. And I had a chance to be the voice for all of them. And I felt the soft voice of God saying, I need you to speak for all these people. At that very moment, I decided to be the voice for farmers and ranchers, not just in Texas, but across the United States of America. And I founded Warriors for Ranchers that day. And ever since I founded Warriors for Ranchers, I have urgently tried to spread the word out. I've done somewhere in the realm of 16 to 19 town halls in Texas State. I'm speaking on the Reawake America tour with Clay Clark, General Michael Flynn, Mike Lindell. I just got back from Dallas, Texas yesterday for the Reawake America tour in Dallas, where we had several thousand people there, over almost 4,000 people, maybe even more. And we're spreading awareness. And here I am with you talking about it now. But Warriors for Ranchers is crisis relief for the American people. So when their gates get knocked down, when their cars get stolen, we replace those things with the money that's the proceeds that we raise. But at the same time, I felt that God wanted me to do more. So I started fighting for child sex trafficking. I started recovering individuals. And as I told you before we got on here today, while I was in Dallas at that church, a sex trafficking victim came forward. A pastor found her at a hotel nearby, and he said, I need to get you to Mike. She came to me. We got her to a quiet place. I brought in 2 ladies who specialize in these things as well. The 2 ladies I'm like a very intense kind of big guy, so I know I can come across as intense because I want to put a stop to this. But God brings a softness into a woman, doesn't he? And when a woman's able to talk to another woman, it was able to de-escalate the situation. She knew we were there to protect her, and we all prayed with her and let her know she's safe. So as I was getting ready to get on here, I was confirming with the pastor that we have her in a safe house. And
Great.
she's safe, she's protected. We're going to get her off any drugs that she was on, because often it's a very common thing when a person's been raped and they've been beaten and they've been hurt, they turn to drugs to get away from the problem, but they
Yeah.
create another problem. So she's been clean of drugs for 1 week, and we're going to make sure that she doesn't go back. But at the same time, she wants to be a voice for the women now, and we're going to help her find her voice so we can put a stop to this in the nation.
So, Mike, I would like to ask you that who are these people who have been trafficked through the borders? Are they willingly happy to traffic themselves through the border, or they have been forcefully trafficked?
There's forceful trafficking taking place. So in these foreign countries, it's very poor, right? So we see at the border as many as 10 males that are um, 10 males that are single. They say their wives left them. But you and I both know, what is the probability, what are the chances of 10 men losing their wife crossing the border? I'm here to tell you, I think that that is probably not a true statement. I'm here to tell you that I think these these men are either purchasing these children or abducting these children, and they are coming across the border with them. They get processed through the federal government as a family unit, right? So we have some images I showed you of the children being dropped over the border wall. This imagery here is children that are being dropped over the border wall. This is not to save them, like let's give them the American dream, let's drop these infants off the border wall. No, this is so these children can be picked up by a single individual, come across our border as a family unit, and they can take those kids. I'm not saying in all cases, but in a lot of cases, those children are being smuggled, exploited, and used for sex trade. And with that being said, I have some evidence here. They put these wristbands on them right here,
No.
and these wristbands, they signify did they pay the cartel, and the color is what cartel they come across in a lot of cases.
Okay.
Also, they're giving them bus passes to get here, so these smugglers will get these, right? But then they want to change their identity when they get to America. So look at all these SIM cards. That is a ton of them, right?
Yes.
So they're changing the SIM cards. They destroy their phones. Look at that. That's
Oh,
not typically what a cell phone looks like, right? So they destroy their phones. I'm finding their phones with tons of evidence. So here's more phones. That's a different phone than what we see in America right there.
yeah.
And where's the next one here? I want you to see this. This is huge. These are some of the drugs that they bring across where they're giving these to the children. So what they don't want the kids to make noise. They want the kids to be quiet. And I called some of my friends. I believe Manan got to meet Dr. Mark Sherwood, and he's running for governor of Oklahoma.
Yes.
And Dr. Sherwood and I had a conversation about Zoloft. How much Zoloft can they give a child before it's a lethal dose? You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
giving child a full-size tablet of this stuff, and they're little bitty babies, and it knocks them out so bad they look like they're dead, but they're awake, but their bodies are completely asleep. Their limbs are they're just flailing, right? They do this to the kids so they don't move around,
That's true.
and it's sick. You know, it's sick that they're doing these to the kids, and in some cases, they will actually take these children. They will cut them open. They will pull out their organs. They will fill them full of drugs, lace them back up, and act like they're alive.
Oh,
But the child's carcass is nothing but a transport for their drugs.
that's very
I,
true.
this is a very dark topic, I know, and but it needs to come out. People need to know this is happening. That children are being murdered at the border. That adults are being murdered at the border, and that Warriors for Ranchers will stop at nothing until we can put an end to this.
Yeah. So, as I understand that there are lots of crimes happening through the borders like human trafficking, drug trafficking, organ trafficking, child sexual exploitation and trafficking,
Right.
and many more. So it's very hard to digest it that still the government is not serious about it and not taking active preventive measures. What do you think that what the government have to do now? What is the current
So
scenario? How can they prevent it?
what we're seeing right now is that the federal government doesn't want to help at all. Matter of fact, they're doing everything they can to hide it. We have border patrol agents that are risking their lives every single day fighting to one help these kids, but their hands are tied. They're being told they can't talk to media. They're being told they have to assist and do whatever the president of the United States wants them to do. Rumor has it that in the very near future, they're going to be forcing, vaccinations on these guys and forcing the mandates on these guys. And look at how many organizations have fallen apart when they start this. And I honestly feel like that is their plan. That is their plan to destroy America. And they're doing it one day at a time. Look at how very little Biden's been in office. He's only been in office this long, and he's destroyed this country this far. And I think it's very apparent that he's on a track to do that. And it's about protecting the land. These people crossing our borders, many of them are great people. They're getting caught in the middle of this. And a lot of people get upset and say, we don't want these people here. They're terrible people, this and that. You say that to the mom that's holding her kids that wants safety. You know what I mean? We all have friends that have crossed this country legally, Neil Patel being one of them. They've come into this country, they followed the immigration laws. They were proud to become an American. But we see the other side of this too. We see this people coming across the border that want something for free. They want to come over here to all this money that they're talking about in the infrastructure bill, $450,000 because they were illegally separated from their children. And they want to blame Trump for that. This is happening on Biden's watch. This isn't happening on Trump's watch. I'm not trying to sit and say sides, but I'm saying sides. When Trump was in office, we were at a 40-year low. Immigration laws were being followed. Transport of goods from Mexico and all of our ports were open. The economic system was booming. Nobody was trying to separate our churches from the people. Nobody was telling you and me to stand 6 feet apart. There's a bigger plan to all of this. And you might think, how does this connect to the border? In every which way it does. When you're looking at all the people of America having to wear a mask and being forced to vaccinate, now they're looking at doing digital passports, planting chips in people's hands. This all falls in the Bible in the book of Revelations. It's there. It's mankind falling apart. This is a spiritual war between good and evil. At the end of the day, that's what this is. When you see these children and these people crossing the border, when they get on the American side, they have a mask on. They try to get the mask on them when they're in Mexico. The real fact of this is this. Those people are extremely sick. They're exposed together. They are walking in a human petri dish of compounds in Mexico, Guatemala, Tapachula, Tijuana, Chihuahua. These caravans are growing. And the people over there, some of them are influencing these people to get angry. I'm sure you've seen the Haitians coming across with the videos where they were beating up our National Guard. That might be a good one to add to this reel as well. They are beating up the Mexican National Guard, throwing rocks at them. Anything on the ground is a weapon. What do you think they're going to do when they're going to come to America? It's not going to be, yay, we found peace. No, they're going to destroy our streets the same way. They are going to kidnap children. 3,000% more of these people crossing our border are child sex offenders. 3,000% more. Not 3, not 100, not 300, 3,000% more. We have career criminals crossing the border. And I think you and I can probably agree. If it's that easy for you and me to go to Mexico, come across, carry a baby, go, hey, I'm a dad. But I could be carrying a baby that looks just like you, and they'd be like, wait a minute, Mike's not that tan, you know? But it's happening. We're seeing kids that look nothing like the people. They're just kids. And it's questionable. We saw a Nigerian man, and they have very dark skin, carrying a blonde hair and blue-eyed baby in La Jolla, Texas. That's questionable. And then where does that child go next?
That was my question. That is there any way to track these people who have already entered into the United States?
So that is the hardest thing for all of us to do. The hardest. So what's happening is we have these NGOs, right? These nonprofit Catholic Charity, Bethany Charity, Endeavors, all these different organizations out there that are getting federal grants for billions of dollars. So when the Border Patrol's done processing these people, a lot of times it goes to these NGOs. And they are working and will do anything they can to try to keep those people in America. There's attorneys in San Antonio, Texas, where people are lining up outside the door, against the wall, and they are signing documents to try to give them longer time in the United States. It's happening. And there's been people that have investigated this. I have not found the attorney's office myself, and I'm planning on trying to find them. When we have millions of people coming into our country, where does a million people fit? In Del Rio, Texas, you probably saw the video, 12,000 people coming across. 12,000 people. I don't know how many times you've been to Texas, but when you're driving down the road, you see these little cities and it says population 2,500. 12,000 people. They have 4 times the population of that city crossing the border. We don't just have people crossing the border, we have entire cities crossing the border. 120 countries are represented in the number of people crossing the border. We've got Chile, Ecuador, we have Nigeria, we have the Honduras, we have Mexico, we have Cuba. I mean, I could keep going. Israel, we've had Israelites cross our border. And it's because people are seeing through the media that this is happening. And they're like, we're going to do whatever we got to do to get there. But those bracelets are put on them because they paid a price. That doesn't mean they're free. So I sent you some pictures of the stash houses.
Yes.
This is once they get here, this is where they go next. They go to those stash houses and the cartel exploits them for more money. And they threaten them. See, I have a bunch of their cell phones. And I have pictures in those cell phones of the people being exploited. And they threaten them and tell them they're going to hurt their families if they don't deposit money in certain accounts, of which I know some of the cities where these accounts exist. They're not free. This administration is allowing this to happen. If they closed our borders, the people's lives that are being threatened would stop. Now, that's going to become Mexico's problem, right? What is Mexico doing to put a stop to this? We don't see that right now. Unless you're over there talking to the people there. It's very unfortunate that there's a lot of corrupt officials over there, a lot of corrupt law enforcement. And that is because the cartel intimidates them into that. I've sent you pictures of how they intimidate people. They will murder somebody, cut them up, stick a machete in their face. They do these things because you don't want that to happen to you, right? And that's their way of saying, you stay out of our business. They like to make people live in fear. But the Mexican families and the Mexican people and the people of Mexico, some of them are standing up. And they're like, no more. And they have rallied and they've come together and they're like, look, we as a people either stand up or we will be torn apart. You can actually see that in the movie Cartel Land with Tim Foley, where the people started standing together and the great work that he's done to fight for this. But here in Texas, we got people rising up as well. We have people in small rural communities that are coming together and rallying with the people saying, what can we do? How can we stand up? If we're not getting help from the government or state officials, how can we protect our land? How can we protect our families? These people are stealing cars and running through fences and killing cattle to eat them. And in some cases, just driving over them. There was a case where this guy's cow was in the way of a bailout. They drove through the fence and ran over his beef cattle. At what point is enough enough?
That's very sad to hear about all of these things that it's still happening. It's happening since last many years, and it's still happening. No one has tried
Absolutely.
to stop. Yes, they have tried to stop it, but no one is still successful to close the border completely, 100%, and stop these crimes going on into the United States.
Right.
So, can you describe in detail that on what law are you working with the Texas government or the attorney's office over there, and how will the upcoming law will help to the citizens of the United States?
So what we are working on, we are talking to a lot of candidates, a lot of people. In some cases, they're like, "Well, we're working on things." Some of these laws are already in place. Number one, I believe it's Code 49 UN 2814. It's a federal law, and it's already in place. And this law basically states that you cannot transport people in a bus with hazardous waste. So I sent you pictures of the white buses. And people have been talking about these all across America. They smuggle kids and people in those buses at the wee hours of night between 1 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. And as soon as the sun rises and guys like you and me wake up, I'm up like 5 in the morning, but you wake up, all that stops. They're doing this at night when the American people are asleep. Now, in that code, it states if Ebola is on that bus is not allowed to be used because that is considered a hazardous waste. Well, COVID 19 kills people. It's a hazardous waste. It is a 58, no, excuse me, $88,000 civil penalty on one bus for one transaction like that. If in the event somebody dies because of this, it is $192,000 civil penalty. That's per bus and that's per death. A lot of money can be made by enforcing this law. But I think once they enforce this law, they will stop. So I held a press conference with Weston Martinez, who's running for Texas State Land Commissioner. We went to the Texas State Capitol and we are trying to enforce this law. The other thing we are trying to do is we are trying to make child sex trafficking a penalty, death penalty offense. If you smuggle a child and you exploit and you rape that child, you deserve nothing more but the death penalty. This is not slapping your hands, folks. These people get away and they do it again and again and again and again. You can smuggle drugs once, but you can smuggle a child over and over and over. You know, once they snort drugs and they use it, it's in their system, it's gone. But they can rape a kid over and over and over. You hear the term adrenochrome, you know it's real. And you know there's places where they're hurting these children for this. So they're also looking at trespassing laws in the state of Texas, making trespassing a felony. But that's not stopping people either. So Governor Abbott here in Texas is a little behind the times. And he has built a chain link fence that is starting to look like a quilt on the southern border. And it looks like a quilt because of how many times they had to patch it, because of all the people that cut holes in it to come through. You and I both know we can take a pair of metal shears, and we can cut a hole, make a door, and now we're coming through that fence. It was not the right solution. It was a waste of Texas families' dollars. There's a better way to handle this, and
Few
that's
elections.
close the border.
So, do warriors of ranches rescue peoples, rescue childrens?
Yes, sir. That is a
So,
big part of our plan. So our goal is to get to that point. So I have been forming a team of individuals, law enforcement and investigative folks, agents that work with Mexico and the United States, journalists that work with Mexico and the United States. Right now, we've built a communication platform where I have access to people, security, law enforcement, and political officials. The next step in doing this, I just started this thing earlier this year. This weekend, I rescued one of my first females that's actually part of the sex trade. She has a lot of information and she's coming forward with that information. Three more women came forward. One was beaten within a pulp, arms are broken, legs are broken. She's a survivor of this. Her story is going to come out. Another one's a soup kitchen that's getting young children brought by the pimps to the soup kitchen here in Texas. Learning where they're getting these kids and how they're exploiting them is the next step. I currently have a sting operation in place inside of a facility, and I cannot say what, but I have a person on the inside reporting to me of what he's seeing. Right now, Rise TV is filming a documentary based on the true story of my life. I highly suggest anybody watching this right now go to risetv.com and subscribe. What you guys are going to see on this show, on this documentary, is nothing but the truth, so help me God. That is because mainstream media doesn't want people to know this. You're going to see it. So they are part of this with me, and we are working as a team, and this organization together has some of the greatest researchers in America. And we're going to bring to you, sir, the truth. And you're going to see how these kids are getting smuggled and how these organizations that are trying to say they're doing great things, they're using that as a cover to do wrong things.
We would love to see this documentary, and also it will be educational for all of us.
Absolutely. And that documentary is going to be called Miller Time.
Miller time.
It's catchy, right?
Yeah.
So my last name's Miller, and they got the approval to use that name because it is my name. And so it's not the beer, but it's me. It's Miller Time. And that's because the fact is they want to show it from a patriot perspective. How am I taking the time to do this? How am I getting this information? How much work is really behind this? People see me right here when I do my podcast. This is what it looks like when I'm in my podcast studio. But when I get outside of this, there's a whole new level. I'm not just a keyboard warrior. I'm fighting at the state level. I'm fighting at the national level. I'm meeting people. I will be in Oklahoma promoting and endorsing Mark Sherwood for governor of Oklahoma later this week. And you guys saw me there endorsing Neil Patel for Senate of Ohio. We need men of God to be taking these seats because Neil and yourself, you guys have seen how when the cabal falls in your country and how sweet and how beautiful the people of India are. The American people, there is a lot of media that has shamed those countries. And they make it look bad, right? But I'm here that's going to tell the truth. And that I love your people. I love your country. It's amazing to know that Neil Patel, who came to America, helped build the Statue of Unity. And that is a symbol that is very special to your people. So part of what I do is this. I'm exposing the truth. I'm exposing the border. God has gifted me with connecting people. And if I can connect people to somebody for good, then I'm going to do that. But he's also brought people to me, and he's brought you to me, and you guys are helping me to amplify my voice. My next step in this is how many kids can we save? And it's getting to the bottom of the root cause. Who is really behind all of this? How many people are behind all of this? What is their source? Are these people selling their kids? How can we stop that? So another thing that I'm looking at doing is creating an app through one of my friends. I want to go ahead and plug them real quick. It's called enos.life. And that's ENAS.LIFE. Enos.life. In the Google Play Store, you can download that app. You can also get it on your browser. We're being censored on big tech. Facebook drops my videos. YouTube censoring people. Twitter censoring people. But you're not censoring me. Enos won't either. On that app, you can do everything Facebook does. You can even live stream. You can do your podcast, your television show, your news reporting on that app and stream to an audience that will always be there. On Facebook, that's not the case. That developer, I want them to try to help me create an app. Many children are abducted in Mexico and other foreign countries.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing when I'm with all these children that are crossing the border to be able to run their little faces on a database and to see, are these children kidnapped before they let them go somewhere else? I'm pretty sure they're working on that within our federal administration as well. But I know for sure if I'm doing it, that I know we're working on it. So I have a list of women and men who have come forward to say they're going to start compiling lists of names and children and dates of abduction in Mexico. And we want to work with organizations in Mexico, in the United States, to try to find if these children are being abducted and are they being smuggled here for the wrong reason. And right then and there, we can save that child's life.
Great. So, are there any SOPs like suppose you rescue a child now? So, what will be the first step? Would you take him or her to the hospital for the first aid, or you would report to the border patrol or to the local law enforcement? What are the SOPs? What are the procedures after
So
you
here's the
rescue?
process. This lady came forward this weekend, right? So I was able to talk to her first, hear her story. I recorded her entire conversation. I called the law enforcement. With sex trafficking, they can only work in the county where that happens. Does that make sense? So let's say Bell County, for instance, that's Temple, Texas. If the person was raped or hurt in that county, that law enforcement agency has to work on that. In this particular case, there's 4 counties involved. So we have to go to each county and talk to their law enforcement. Once law enforcement has spoke with her, they released her back to me. I was able to give her to a Christian organization that I trust, and she is now in a safe house. So we're going to use, if that works, that's how we're going to do it with these children. They're going to come through the Border Patrol agency. Border Patrol will expedite their processing. That child will then come to an organization that can, one, help them try to find their families, to determine are they really the child of this person if they do DNA testing. And if they're not, and that child is here, we have to put that child in a place where they have a fair chance at life. If we can't connect them with families and we know that this person's smuggling them, that's the next step. There's organizations that are ready to bring in children like this that have doctors, nurses, and educational systems where, one, they have a safe house, they have medical care, they have food, they have shelter, they have love, and they have education.
Okay.
Our
So,
only
have
hope
you,
is maybe someday those kids grow up and they find it in their heart to fight the same fight. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
wonderful. That would be very good. Wonderful. So, have you thought about tracking of these people after you rescue? Because it has been seen in many traffic cases that these victims are being re-trafficked again because they are still prone. They don't earn much. They don't get jobs, so they don't have much money, and so try they get to trap into the perpetrators again and again, and they get re-victimized again. So, have you thought on something of it that yes, we should track them for 5 years minimum or something like that, so they can't be re-victimized and they are living the proper life?
That is exactly what I'm doing. So you're on it. This is what I'm doing. So this individual, I have all their phones. Okay, those phones are being tracked. They have chips in them. So I have those phones protected, and we are going to be going through the contact list. We have found drug smugglers on these phones. We have found porn on these phones. We have found contacts that can lead us to the bad guys. So these phones are going to be handed over to a forensic specialist that can take that phone and pull all that data and dialogue off those phones. And we're going to start connecting dots because that's all we have to run on. So this individual's in a safe house. When she gets to that safe house, I will have the address to that house. She will contact me on landlines only because exactly what you said. If I gave her a new phone, right, and she makes a call to a family member, that one phone call can be enough for a hacker to track her again. So for right now, we find it to be 100% safe that she contacts her family and anybody else because of the depth and how large these organizations are. She will be contacting these people through a landline where she will be. That's how we're going to protect her. The communication between her and I will not stop. I will always know she's safe, and it's through a Christian organization that I trust. It's a mutual friend that I know who's working to fight the same fight. So she will be taken to a very safe place. I'm not going to go to any detail of where, how.
We
She's going to be a
understand.
safe place. But she will consistently communicate to me because just like you said, she went to seek help in an organization. That organization's being investigated by me and my team.
Okay.
That organization connected her with drug runners who then put her into sex trafficking, who then endangered her life, and she could never trust an organization like that again. So because of what she's went through, that trauma, that pain, that post-traumatic stress, can you imagine what it means to me that she finds trust within me and my team after she's trusted somebody else who was operating under what you should think is good, and they're turning around and doing bad. It's sick. It makes me sick that that's happening. But I can guarantee you this, sir. She is in safe hands. And those guys that are doing to her these bad things, they're done. Because by the time I get done with this, every one of these guys are going to be behind bars. And I will work with every single local law enforcement federal agency that I can trust to put those guys behind bars.
We trust you, Mike. People of United States are in safe hands now.
I
So,
appreciate that. See, Warriors for Ranchers is a truth-telling organization. We only were going to tell the truth. There's a lot of people that are reporting on the border that are selling a lie to America. And some of that's these big media organizations that are ran by people that don't love America anyway. So thank God for our Border Patrol. Thank God for our DPS agents. Thank God for our first responders who's continued to fight with us in this. And thank God for you for taking the time to interview me and allow me to get this truth out there. And what I would love to be able to offer you is I'm an investigative journalist. And the funny part about this is, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, Mike, would you have thought you would have been here? I'd probably say no. I don't think I would have been here. But we as people, we have a responsibility. And when we see everything before us falling apart, we can either come together or we can be torn apart. And I honestly think if we don't rise up and we don't find our voice and we don't help other people to do the same thing, we're going to lose our voice. We're going to lose our freedoms. And we're going to find ourselves standing in bread lines begging for food. That's not going to happen on my watch because I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to fight because God created me. I was born to fight. I'm here to stand up, and I'm a warrior for Christ.
that's great. So, Mike, we have many videos of yours, your work, how you do, and also expose the open border in the another media also. So, I'm playing those videos one by one, and you can describe our audience what you are doing and what that video describes.
Perfect.
Roger Stone. I'm here with Mike Miller.
This right here is Roger Stone and a list of people who've interviewed me just like yourself to help me expose the truth on the border.
You're going to see him with Alex Jones
I've been
next week.
introduced to Mr. Mike
I've
Miller.
had enough, so I applaud him. There's a new group on the block, Warriors for Ranchers.
With Mike Miller from Warriors
You
for
have
Ranchers.
the open border story, which is death, drug smuggling, gun running, raping, murder that the media won't even touch. And so we've received some very shocking footage from Mike, and we had to blur some of it out. We showed some of it there. We'll air some of it as B-roll, but just be warned, some of this stuff is really graphic. We have blurred it out, but it is really graphic. So Mike Miller joins me now, Warriors for Ranchers. Mike, what is the real open border story? What goes on a daily basis with ranchers that have property at the border?
So during that video, I was able to expose with Owen Schroyer the truth about the cartel murdering journalists on the Mexican border.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Here's the second video.
That video right there was put together by John and Rachel Clore out of Michigan when they came to Texas to uncover the truth about the border. That was 1 week on the border. We uncovered all of that. And in that particular film, you saw the guys coming out from underneath the trains with bags of drugs. They actually had to use bolt cutters to release those grain bins to let them out. That train goes from Eagle Pass to Chicago. They were so hot, they drank in most of their water And if they wouldn't have opened up that train, they could have all died by the time they got there. This is the risk that these people will take to try to smuggle drugs to another town. Most of them probably had drugs in their backpacks.
Right. Yes, the third video.
Border. Today, Governor Greg Abbott got a first-hand look at the surge of migrants in Del Rio, Texas. The governor is asking the Biden administration to declare a state of emergency in Texas, saying the surge poses a life-threatening risk to Texans who are living at the border.
I said, God, help expose the wicked leaders in this world, and help expose the evil ones that are doing wrong. And God, bring to me the finances. Bring to me the people that have the skill sets that I don't have. And God, amplify my voice. The only reason I'm standing in front of you guys today is because Jesus Christ spared my life.
And what you have right there, that was actually an intro to one of my speeches, but you have the cartel bringing them across on the raft. So that gentleman right there is paid by the cartel to smuggle immigrants across the border. And they're illegal immigrants. But that gentleman right there is part of an organization that murders, rapes, and hurts men and women and children crossing our border. I am right there, 10 feet, sometimes within 8 feet of these people. And I'm witnessing them doing this over and over and over. Those people need to be caught, and they need to have charges pressed on them for crimes against humanity, raping little boys and little girls. They need to put them behind bars, and it needs to stop. But this administration is allowing this to happen over and over and over and over. So I got to say, I'm blessed by people who want to fight beside me, who want to stand up beside me and be a warrior. Because the Archangel Michael that's on my logo, he fought in the heavens for this country. And now we're fighting here on earth. We got to put a stop to this. It's evil.
Very, very. So here is the last video.
And they run just like cowards. These young children are being dropped over the border wall. These children could have been abducted. They could have been kidnapped, just like the same thing. But their families could have been robbed of their child. And these children are being used. They're being recycled in some cases, as you know. For a male that is not a father to pick that child up to cross the border to look like they're a dad, because they will treat them like a family unit. And when they stop DNA testing on our border, they learn less about these people. Is that really that person's dad? And then these children are often dropped off again and left for dead once those people get what they want. They want safe passage into Texas without getting caught, without any repercussions. And these children are at the middle of this. I want to put a stop to that. And so anybody that helps my organization, you're helping me get closer to a child. You're helping me get closer to fixing fences and helping people. I'm working to build a team of experts and panels and people we can meet with on how to do this. Because right now it is an absolute mess. The agents that are professionally working on this inside the criminal organizations, they have to look at the bigger picture. And I'm talking to these guys. And they say, Mike, what your organization is doing is extremely instrumental in helping us to find the bigger picture. You know how grateful I am to hear that. These are agents that have worked 20, 30 years fighting drug smugglers and human sex traffickers. But they are just one person. Well, let me tell you this. I'm bringing some warriors to the table who's going to help them get the job done right. And we're going to do it legally through the proper organizations to continue to help them to fight, to do their job so they can have a clear focus on catching the big guy while we are working hard to capture all the other people around it. We have citizens standing up right now who are volunteering inside these organizations to get a first-person perspective at what is really taking place. People are risking their lives to fight this. And that's by getting on the inside and seeing firsthand what's happening. Reporting back to my organization and saying, look, this is what's taking place, and this is how we're going to fight to stop it. I call law enforcement, and they say, just get me this information, and we can kick the doors down.
So how many warriors you have till now?
Probably over 50,000.
Oh, wow. So if I want to become a warrior, or if anyone want to become a warrior of Warriors of Franchise, then how can one connect to you or to your organization? What is
You
it?
just did. You just did. So you go to warriorsforranchers.com and you follow what's on my website. So go to Warriors for Ranchers on Facebook. Private message me. Say, hi, I want to be a part of this. Then in your state, you can do the same thing. What I'm working to do is we need to raise more funds within my organization. So I need to find businesses and people who would be willing to allow me to sell my shirts at their business. It's something simple, right? A t-shirt. A simple shirt like this, we can sell it for $25. The proceeds from the shirt sales go into the organization to help us fund. If the wicked people of this world are winning their battle by using money, then dadgummit, why don't we raise some money to fight back? Because as you know, all these things are expensive. Right before me, I have a satellite phone. And these phones, they're not cheap. It's a satellite phone, right? I'm sponsored by this organization. So I can sell these phones and I can get a kickback on helping my organization to grow. I'm selling Mike Lindell's pillows. Go to mypillow.com/warriors. Save 60% off buying pillows. See, not all superheroes wear capes. Some of them sell pillows. I'm selling clear phones. Go to clearwarriors.com. Buy a phone that's no longer going to be selling your data to third parties. Clear is its own network. It's a global digital network that is now encrypted to protect us, right? All these things help us to move forward. And on my website, you can buy shirts, mugs, hats. All those things help our organization move forward. But at your state in Ohio, are you in Ohio?
I'm in India right now.
You're in
Okay.
India right now. Wow, I'm in India right now. That's awesome. So, but even in India, way over there, you guys can still see what's taking place. I'm pretty sure in India that you're going to be my first international team member. How cool is that?
Very good.
So I'm going to announce it right here. Warriors for Ranchers is now international. Thank you. And God bless you. So I'm going to need your address because I have a hat and a shirt coming your way. And when you get, what size are you? Are you a medium?
Yeah, I use medium.
Okay, I'm going to get you a medium. So I'm going to get you a medium. I'm going to send you a hat. The next time I see you, we're going to have to be twinsies. You're going to put yours on. I'll put mine on. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. You are now the director of India for Warriors for Ranchers. We're going to have to build a team over there. We are going to fight child sex trafficking in your country. And then I need to find my way to India so I can meet my team in person. How does that sound?
Sounds very cool. Interesting to work with you, sir.
I'm honored. I'm honored because we are both journalists and we're both men. We care about our families. And we together, we're going to fight this thing. Is for the future of my kids and your future generation of family. We can't allow this to continue to take place. And I'm honored to be working with you in India because the real fact is this. What's happening in America is affecting our entire world. And so if you have any other countries, any other people in any other countries, let's get together.
So thank you, Mike, for your time. We are very honored to have you on Bharat Media. and we wish to support you. Also, we will try to promote Warriors of Ranchers, and we will try that many of them people in USA and not in USA but globally join the Warriors of Ranchers, stop this human trafficking, stop this labor trafficking, stop this sex trafficking, drug trafficking, and every other illegal activities that has been in United States due to the borders. And we will try to promote, we will try to educate people, and we are here with you, Mike.
Awesome. And I want the people of India to know that I love you. Every single one of you guys. I love your family. I love your kids. And I'm going to fight for you. I might be here in America, but God made me to love people. And what kind of man would I be if I couldn't care about my fellow man and brother, just like I do you? And all the families in India that are suffering a loss of a child or suffering somebody who's being exploited there in India. I ask you guys to give your best and go to warriorsforranchers.com. Please donate to our organization. Those funds are not just going to help us in America anymore. They're going to help my friend here in India who's going to continue to fight for us. And I will stop at nothing to put an end to this, not just in America, but now we're fighting all across the world, and we're fighting in India now. God bless you. And you guys can also find us on Warriors for Ranchers on Facebook. I'm going to be live tonight in America time. It's 7 p.m. Central Standard Time here in America. But for any of you in India that want to follow my page, go to Warriors for Ranchers on Facebook. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Twitch, and you guys can find me there. And I try to do a podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I expose the truth on the border every single week. I talk about political issues. I talk about real life things. And I also give a comparison to really what is the price that Americans in Texas has paid, even if it's death rates. How many civilians have lost their lives? How many illegal immigrants have lost their lives simply by trying to do this the illegal way? I could tell you guys there's many of them. And I care about every single one of those lives that's been lost. And I care about every single person that just wants freedom, but they're going about it the wrong way. We have to put proper policies in place, not only here in America, but also in India, to protect the people that just want change and to protect the children that deserve to be free. God bless you, my friend. And I thank you for bringing me on. You can find me at warriorsforranchers.com. And I'm Mike Miller, and I'm a warrior, and I'm proud to be fighting alongside you, sir.
Thank you for your time, Mike, and meeting you soon.
God bless you, brother.